What is going on, guys? My name is Victor, and I'm the host of the Chasing Waypoints podcast. And well, here we are. If you guys this is your first time tuning in to the episodes, we are halfway through the 2026 Dakar Rally. I am the host of the Chasing Waypoints podcast. This is where we talk about rally raid in North America and around the world. Been doing this for over 10 years now, participating in different levels with organizations, and before that, doing some Baja racing. But that's just me. We've got somebody else on the line who has not just done the Baja Rally, created the Baja Rally. He has gotten the rally bug as well. And that started long before the Baja Rally was even created, back in 2011 in Argentina and Chile. And this was as a correspondent for Race Desert. Has had an eye for detail and finding details, finding trends, finding things. This is spawns all the way from his day job to this. This is what he does as a hobby and as a profession as well. So I am talking about none other than Scotty Bloom with over 15 years of experience doing this stuff. Well, who better to bring us some more insight into the rally world, and especially one of the largest rallies in the world going on right now. It is the 2026 Dakar Rally. It is the rest day. And let's get Scotty Bloom on the line and let's talk a little bit more about what is happening. Scott, you there?
Yeah, I am. Hey, Victor. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you, sir?
Really well here in Rosarito in Baja California, and glad to be here to talk about this.
Yeah, excellent. I'm excited to have you because I know we were just talking about that background. Like I know you from Baja Rally. I've always known you from Baja Rally, but then I know that background that you have such detail, and there's a story about you. You can identify guys by their jerseys and what they're wearing at 60 miles an hour blowing by you. I remember that story.
When you get the bug for this stuff, I mean, you just are, into it. Like, for instance, anybody that's watching your episode, listening to the podcasts, they have the rally bug. Tonight, here we are halfway through the 2026 Dakar Rally. There's, a bit of meat on the bone, things to talk about, and a number of different things. But here you are 3 years into your project, with Chasing Waypoints, and it's 3 years and almost 300 episodes. And so you've obviously, once you get this bug, it's kind of like, an infection that stays with you. It's kind of like a mark that you permanently have this, this ailment. We want to make it a positive thing. So lots of positive things to talk about tonight. Like you said, how I got the bug, I was just a moto guy. I was in like a civilian journalist doing it free stuff before social media, before Facebook, covering the Baja races, and just as a hobby, after a brief career in desert racing, and got picked to go to the Dakar Rally in 2011 with Volkswagen. And so it was all brand new to me. I had to learn it like in 36 hours. I'd watch like 15 hours of episodes from the year before. And I came home from that 2011 Dakar Rally with this appreciation for navigation and road books. And I compared it in a contrast to Baja desert racing. Later came up with the Baja Rally, and ever since then, not so much professional correspondent for covering the stages, but following really closely. And so I think overall this time, there's I had an epiphany and some things to share tonight. But where are we at for the listeners and for your, we're listening to your episodes and the coverage, the pre-stage previews and the recaps. But let's get started by where are we at now and what's going on?
Well, right. So yeah, you're right. It is a bug. It's that navigating, getting that first note and realizing you're not as lost as you thought you were. When we're using the rally comp, getting that first beep for a waypoint validation, you go, oh, okay, maybe we can do this and not get lost. But speaking of not getting lost, we've made it all the way to Riyadh, halfway, Dakar Rally. marathon stage, marathon refuge stage. They changed that a little bit, right? We'll talk about that. And then not only that, but now we've also got a mega stage that they did, which I'm a little bit disappointed. And so I think that we're trying to, I see videos off for us just a sec here. So I see that there's a lot of, man, there's just been so much lead changes, constructors battling for it, trying to, who built the fastest car at the Dakar. There's a class missing. You brought that up. I didn't even, it didn't even dawn on me that we're missing an entire class. So you know what? Let's start there. So the mega stage, 900 kilometers of mega stage of Dakar Rally. I'm going, oh yeah, there we go. They got rid of the chrono stage. They just said, you know what? You guys got so close to finishing the chrono stage in one shot on the first year. We're going to throw a mega stage at you. We're going to throw 900 kilometers at you. And then I'm doing the stage preview, and then I see, oh yeah, 500 kilometer, almost 600 kilometer liaison between the two, and 300 kilometers of racing. I'm going, okay,
so that was today.
So
that was the most recent stage 6. What gets us to where we are today.
Correct. Rest day in Riyadh. And so I don't know. I was kind of let down by that. I was hoping it was going to be maybe the other way around, 600 and 300. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, just the intel that I'm gathering is that it was, they're leaving pre-dawn. They're leaving the bivouac pre-dawn, arriving in Riyadh at around 5. So the top guys. So it's like 200, miles pavement, 300K of dunes in the time section, and then another huge chunk of pavement, close to 200 miles, or
it was like 260K, I think it was, on the back end.
On the other side, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was punishing. So I guess this was the one of the harshest ones, and like the Canet, just barely making it in on a razor thin edge before the helicopter said, hey, you're out of this thing. And he said, no, give me one more chance. They let him go, said, we'll give you until nightfall. He made it in the nick of time. So a lot of stuff. And also this year, difficulty with the internet and difficulty picking up, coverage that's like super consistent as the past. But on that note, fans that are watching, I've been getting some messages, quite a few people, several recently, that about the NBC Motorsports coverage on the NBC Motorsports YouTube for free. You're getting 55 minutes every day of extended highlights, and that starts with the bikes. You're getting a good 20 solid minutes of just pure bike coverage leading the broadcast. I will note too, I'm not sure, some of the other, everyone listening to this, you're already a rally, enthusiast, or you have the bug, whether you've been in it for 10 or 15 years, or it's just you're, a newer enthusiast entrant, rookie, what do they call it? Neophyte. If you're watching the YouTube of the Dakar channel, they slipped it in this week, stage 3 or 4, where they put the trucks and 4-wheel vehicles before the bikes in the coverage. So ever since Baja Racing, Baja 1000, everything Dakar is bike. So Terry Sabine, the creator of the Dakar Rally, stumbled onto it in a motorcycle outing, in the African desert. It's all moto based. And so typically the motorcycles are gonna, they're the first vehicles to leave the line, both in Baja and best in the desert, U.S. desert racing, global rally racing. Bikes are first, and the coverage of bikes is first. But this week, Dakar's YouTube channel tried to market test or beta test putting the bikes behind. And I'm not the only one that noticed, I don't think. But
yeah. Well,
so this go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, and yeah, I didn't catch that. What I did catch was, I feel like the numbers are down. Like they let less bikes in, but they expanded it more more cars. I've seen this before. Where have I seen this before? Is that Score?
Oh, and Score.
Score?
Yeah, Score.
I don't want to
the
bad
bikes
talk an
become an
organization.
afterthought or kind of a sideshow.
But I noticed that. And then you mentioned something earlier. Yeah. And that's what I don't, like you said, the roots of this thing are some dude getting lost on a bike. I mean, that's the 80,000 foot level of it, But what happened to the quads? Is this a sign of things to come?
It's a good question. Was it a safety issue? And it's just speculation, but like there's something about maybe it's a safety issue or popularity. Quads are the evil stepchild or the cousin. No love for them, but but it's a good question. I don't know. Someone in comments, maybe if they have insight, someone like Kyle McCoy or another person that's more into it, someone like our friend Willem Avenant, who's just kind of like a rising star in basically a figure in the sport, is now basically into his mature life cycle, maturing in as a Willem Avenant's like training in Dubai like every third week, for side by sides, and I think also like full blown rally cars for Rally Raid, and eyeballing managing teams and doing stuff including like involved in rally camps and Namibia and his Africa things, and so like there's Willem and this guy Kyle McCoy, who's like the historian, the US side, probably in North America, a newer entrant, 10 years into the sport, but has everything together. Also too, there's Nathan Rafferty, is American, kind of a privateer, outdoorsman, mountaineer guy that did Baja Rally, Sonora Rally, successful. I think he's on his third Dakar. I'm optimistic about where the sport is heading, and there's a couple reasons too, not the least of which is the big story I think that's coming out of this Dakar, especially for North America, is Preston Campbell, Johnny Campbell's son. There's a lot to kind of unpack on that, and want to maybe circle back on that. In coming back to like where my optimism lies for rally. So we've been, promoting rallies like Rally Raid races in North America since 2013. It's kind of like, 12 years under our belt and on our 13th or 14th year of operations, and with some ebbs and flows where the coverage from Dakar and the interest in the sport starts to like peak, where it's like, hey, their interest is rising, there's new things happening, and then it'll fade a little bit. COVID didn't help at all, but part of that just has to do with economy, demand for other motorsports, demand for other events, and interest and coverage. With NBC and NBC Motorsports coverage, bringing it into, people's living rooms, also free, accessible, it's two things. It's fueling the longtime enthusiasts, guys that have been following this stuff for a longer time. It's given them an easier way to watch, instead of having to do, what do they call those, BitTorrent or hacking and VPNs.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to kind of rip off the United Kingdom coverage that like
UK
10 years
coverage.
ago. That's what we were doing. I forget the name of the thing, like
Eurosport, wasn't it?
Eurosport, yeah.
Eurosport,
and so I think there's more opportunities for the veteran enthusiasts to watch coverage and to stay involved in like what's going on with the tires this year, with and then also the importance and like how critical something like tires are to all motorsports, and what's especially in this edition with some substantial tire failures in the last couple of days, that you and I were chatting earlier about how it doesn't really bode well for the marketing guys of the tire companies, when there's just cameras on 4 different guys on one day with holes in their tires. with reliability issues. So, and not to like get stuck on one topic after another, but leading back to the point I was trying to make is that I actually have optimism for their sustainable growth spurt for rally, and a lot of it has to do with the younger crowd. Mason Klein has done his some work starting like 4 or 5 years ago. Ricky towed the line. Ricky Brabeck, the American desert racer, went in his 2 Dakars. I think the first one came in 22, if I'm not mistaken, just after so it would have been New Year's from 21 to 22, I believe, was his first thing. And you and I were talking that night thinking that, okay, this is, what do you call it, earth shaking. This is like a tectonic shift in the interest. Really, the media didn't cover too well on that. And so, looks
Agreed.
like,
he came back and the party was bigger here, but it was a localized party. I remember seeing that. And I mean, it was cool. He had a lot of support, but there really wasn't, it was definitely a sign of things to come. But yeah, I agree. The media coverage on it wasn't all that.
It wasn't what we expected. So you look at how, and now you look at Ricky Brabeck, when he went over on his first, endeavor, I think it was 8 or 9 years ago, he was a fish out of water. And now it's like he's a senior citizen. And, we can talk about the race, and I think we might as well just jump into what the listeners are probably, wondering. Halfway through the race, there's a 10-second gap. They might as well be, evenly tied. And I think what are the net hours after, you're the statistician, after 6 stages, is it 16 hours or 20, something more like 20 hours of total time?
Yeah, 20. Yeah, exactly. 21, 22, 24s. Yeah.
Okay. And so, with 10 seconds split into guys, they might as well just be a dead heat. So what happens with the strategy? So, Daniel Sanders, it's as a repeat. He won last year. Ricky won the year before, I believe. And a repeat in modern history, the odds of having a repeat back-to-back Dakar victory is pretty low. 10 years ago, when it was just KTM and it was in the KTM era of dominance, it was just, they would repeat every year because they were the only game in town, the only big manufacturer. Husky Speedbrain, was one of the things when I started, I think 2012, 13, Speedbrain Husky on the Italian Huskies, I believe, was just, pretty privateer. There wasn't really any factory stuff. So in the modern era, a back-to-back thing there's lower probabilities of it than before. So I think pressure is on Daniel Sanders. And if you're watching the coverage in his post-stage interviews, he's really critical of himself and really self-critical, beating himself up on, he's still leading and doing great, but he's like, he should be way ahead. So I think that Ricky, and with all of his strategizing under the Johnny Campbell, brainchild of Johnny Campbell, and this wealth and the power and the dynasty of Johnny Campbell's brain trust of his strategizing and his thing, not to be underestimated. You want to be careful of the quiet ones. Johnny Campbell and guys that are kind of soft-spoken, these are the minds and these are the strategists and the tacticians that will surprise you. And so I think what Ricky should do, and what he's probably thinking, is to not push and to let Daniel push himself and let basically Ricky have the victory kind of come to him, doing his game, doing his job, putting in his time, putting in his work. That something on the part of, if Daniel Saunders is stressing himself out for the back-to-back, the pressure's on Saunders, I think, more than Brabeck. Saunders, younger in age and in his career, has more time, to come back. Ricky maybe 4 years max of competitive level, and that's being pretty generous, I think. But Preston Campbell, as I see him, and I don't know if you have any thoughts about this, but we're just starting to see him speak publicly on the main arena. And if you know Johnny, and anybody that is listening that has an interest in desert racing, in Honda, in Johnny Campbell, and if you have not watched True Champion, the Johnny Campbell story, it's worth it. It's something you have to pay for. It's a documentary on Johnny Campbell. It came out maybe like 2012, I think it came out. It's about 13 years old. Unbelievable documentary. Really good story. It's right up there with Dust to Glory. Has all the main characters, and it really, that's where I'm going with this Preston Campbell thing. It just hit me like a bag of bricks after a couple of days of watching him speak, and then seeing him now in 9th place, leading Rally 2 on his debut thing. And here's some similarities. His dad, Johnny Campbell, the guy that's won 11 Baja 1000s and a bunch of them consecutively. And I think Johnny's 1000 things, I think 10 of them, if not all 11, were consecutive. Johnny went to the 2001 Dakar Rally on an XR650R, and that Honda XR650 was basically a year old, into production and sales. It was freshly out and just starting to win Baja 1000s, and so they sent him to the Dakar Rally as a rookie, totally rookie guy. He had done the Nevada Rally and navigating out there, almost winning. But he was 8th when he came home. So Johnny Campbell, 8th place, after his first Dakar Rally. Quinn Cody went in 2011. That's when I went. Quinn was rookie, also fresh, kind of like, almost a fish out of water. Quinn came home with a 9th place. Now here we have Preston, top 10, 9th. There's some similarities also between Kurt Caselli that'll go a little bit deeper into. I think Preston Campbell is the future, and I think it's just hitting me that from out of nowhere, didn't see this coming, but now the writing's on the wall. Johnny Campbell has been queuing this up for a while, and I think you're going to see Preston Campbell win the Dakar within 2 years. So, and timed perfectly. 2027, no, a little early. By 2028, yes. And back-to-backs, yeah. Honda factory, yeah. Honda factory next year. It's speculation. I don't know anything. They don't talk to me. I don't really have a connection. I'm not getting any info, directly from Honda or Johnny really recently in the last few years. I did have a really close connection and interviewed him and did a lot of correspondence with Campbell. And that's why it's kind of hitting me like a bag of bricks that it's, Preston is he's destined. Preston is destined to do this for a number of reasons. Have you been thinking about that, also in your coverage?
Yeah. I first of all, to see it, and I don't want to jinx it. And you know what I'm talking about. We don't talk about the potential outcome that's currently on the table, for him. And it's only been done 3 or 4 times before. And the last time it was done, it was 20 years ago. But I have, and that was kind of my thing. Is like, okay, if we look at the grand scheme of things, is that little by little, more and more Americans have been going to the Dakar on the motorcycles and well, now even on the vehicles. And Ricky started the party, right? He went out, won the event. Stage wins had happened before by Americans, but when Ricky won the event, I feel like it was a shift. Honda backing, and then that continued effort going and continuously being a front runner, top runner, mechanicals, bad luck, things like that. And Yeah, it seemed like it's the next in progression, and I think what we're seeing right now is that culmination of the recipe that Johnny Campbell's put together, the endless amount of testing that they do right here in California, amongst other parts of the world. But this is his backyard. He knows every rock out in the SoCal desert. He knows what these bikes are going to go through in the Dakar. They can do all sorts of testing and push these bikes to an inch of their life, and then they go to the Dakar, and then they're having the success we're seeing. I mean, I really feel like this could be a red podium for the 2026 Dakar. You know, there's some stuff in there, and like you said, you hit on a good point, is that Sanders is pressuring himself. There's got to be some kind of, I think he, you know, there's a bit of perfectionism there. I think all of the guys that ride, they have that. And I think a sign of that is that speeding penalty, those 6 minutes that he got on the stage. These guys, somebody made a comment on the Facebook, or excuse me, on the YouTube video. The top level guys really don't mess with speed zone penalties. That's kind of I don't want to say a rookie mistake, but that's not the norm for those guys. So, you know, you mentioned a good point. He maybe is putting a little bit too much pressure on himself, pushing the line a little bit, and there you go. You know, 6 minute penalty that cost him dearly.
You know, it happened to Ross Branch as well early on. You know, he was doing great, and he got a several minutes. I think, I don't know, 2, maybe it was 6. It was a steep, just accidental speeding penalty. But like going back to the being John Malkovich, you know, or being Johnny Campbell, and trying to like get inside of his brain. You know, I've been fortunate to have spent some good quality time with Johnny Campbell over the years, and you know, now what I'm trying to do is just basically imagine and start to, and my imagination's running wild, but his it's kind of like Roman Empire, world history, historic figures kind of like thinking is like the mind of a soft-spoken, you know, powerful leader. You know, there's power in soft-spoken and being kind of understated and holding the cards close to the vest, you know, which was always Honda factory. Bruce Ogilvy's whole strategy was all built on secrecy and pre-running, and never, and even like red herrings and throwing out false flags, and basically leading the competitors or leading the competition on dead end wild goose chases, you know, in theoretical things. So I'm kind of like to nerd out on the war strategies and, you know, tactical multi-year planning ahead. And this is what I think is the big advantage for Preston Campbell. Johnny Campbell lost his father when he was 16 years old, as you'll hear about as you watch in this documentary. And, you know, this is a similarity with Kurt Caselli. Kurt was a little bit older when his father passed away. And both of these guys, Johnny Campbell and Kurt Caselli, they had men around them. In Johnny's case, Johnny Campbell had his girlfriend, his wife, Faye, but at the time, his girlfriend's uncle, Craig Adams, big guy and big, you know, Southern California, District 38, huge off-road racer, was part of that. There was Chuck Miller. There was, Chuck's son was in there. The Honda guys for Johnny Campbell had these mentors, TJ from, Honda racing into the Bruce Ogilvy thing. But Craig Adams was a big part of it, I think, for Johnny Campbell. And Kurt Caselli and his, you know, KTM stuff. He had, you know, leadership in KTM and other mentors around at the time when his dad passed away. And so losing your foot, and so to compare Preston Campbell, what Johnny has done is that in the formative years, you know, as a young child, Johnny has 2 kids, a son and a daughter, Preston, and then I'm not sure what his daughter's name is. But so Kurt Caselli and Johnny Campbell both got through their young age and preteen and into their teenager life and kind of into adult life when they lost their dad. So they had that base covered. But the next step is like from, 16 into your 20s, you kind of need that fatherly figure. And so both Johnny Campbell and Kurt Caselli have that through men that were in their lives. You need to have a good man in your life, and good influences and good role models. It's what it is. And so what Preston has is like a turbo version of that. So they have this guy, Johnny Campbell, that went through a tragic loss, had a support system, had role models, and utilized them to the hilt, and just became this extremely successful, soft-spoken, humble legend and humble champion, and it's living legend. And so Preston has been getting groomed. That word doesn't really, work anymore, but Preston has been being prepared for the moment that's coming. This is the moment because he's starting to speak publicly. He's really broken, I think, through the surface and into what's going to be like a legitimately, like a legitimate Hall of Fame level rally career.
Mm-hmm. I see that, and I mean that is definitely one of the kind of what I was alluding to is the recipe has kind of been laid out. I think what we're seeing is the success of, okay, he's done the long distance races. He's fast at Vegas to Reno. He's, with a win there. Morocco, he's already been there. Sonora Rally already went in, took on the big dunes and all of that stuff. So he's put together the resume. It's like a leapfrog. It's kind of like it's a known path. And then to hear and see, exactly when he speaks, when he's doing his interviews, calm and collected, I'm just going to ride. I'm just going to do one day at a time. It's like I'm hearing things that I could see Johnny Campbell himself saying or have heard him say. And I mean, it's awesome. And the work is there. I mean, this is, I think, the biggest stage. There's the Baja 1000 and then there's the Dakar Rally. I mean, that's pretty much, there's races in the past that had that, that allure, that had that title of, but if you ask about what's the biggest off-road race in the world, you're either going to hear the Baja 1000 or you're going to hear the Dakar Rally. And so it's like the logical next step in that, okay, yeah, we're going to see him now from Rally 2. If he does what I think is coming, then he's going on to GP. But how does that, where does that sit on the team? That was another thought I had. I'm like,
Right.
uh-oh.
Well, I mean, let's go there. So, and I've thought about this. And so, Johnny raced for Robbie Gordon 1 year, and that was the year that Caselli was in it, and that was 2013. So Johnny Campbell had raced in, I think Honda started racing him in 14 or 15. It was really kind of it wasn't even like this super big, super factory effort, but Johnny's role with the Honda, rally team at HRC Honda has been, just kind of little bit, not super main stage, but he hasn't missed, a Dakar being on site. I think one, maybe where Ricky went and Johnny didn't go. But now what it is that Johnny is locked in for life. Now, if KTM says $10 million, Johnny says no. And no matter what, there's nothing that takes that family and changing their color. You talk about a red podium. Well, it's going to be orangish red for sure, but it's just what the Pantone color ends up being. How red will it be this year? But Johnny's in Honda for life, period, the end. And so whether it's Japan or Italy, it's HRC. And so Preston too, and it's speculation. I could be talking out my rear end on this, but from someone that has a little bit of a lens into this stuff and watching the evolution, the ebbs and the flows, just today, it actually hit me that Preston has been, he's getting unleashed. And he'll be just like his dad in terms of soft-spoken. But their stuff they hold to the vest, you have no idea. I mean, it's just, you could just imagine forever what's inside, what they have, their strategy, their tactics, the brilliance, 2-3 steps ahead of the way that the Campbell operation works and is going to work. They are not effing around, have not been, with what they're doing and how he's been lining this up for however many years. But it's a prediction. I'm inclined to write about it and maybe pen something about the the rise and how this is. It's not news. There's Preston Campbell. He's, like you said, Sonora Rally, Vegas to Reno. I think they raced the Nora Rally, if I'm not mistaken, too. The Nora 1000. Maybe that's something else. Maybe I'm mistaken on that. But so Preston is destined, and we don't want to spend the whole show talking about that. And what that lends itself to is you combine that with NBC, if they continue their coverage, North America is going to attract more people. So Victor, how many people have you met in the bivouac, or have you watched something like Lyndon Poskett or longtime enthusiasts? Like, I'll just throw some names out if I can think. Bill Conger, Dave, the ICO guy, Dave. Yeah,
Beckham.
But my memory is starting to I'm sunsetting right now in the afternoon. But the older American guys that did Dakar, Charlie Rossio, like Jimmy Lewis, some of these other figures, they caught the bug by having someone told them about it, or they watched some 1980s TV coverage. So they got some coverage, or they had a friend. In Europe, it's all about, my dad watched it, I watched it. So you look at guys like Bradley Cox, and his dad, Alfie Cox, and Willem Mavenon, South African. When he was a kid, they had coverage like way more than what we've had. But now so a younger kid now today in 2026, they're on two wheels already, mountain bikes or dirt bikes, whatever. They're getting exposed to the Dakar bug. And I'm like, fingers crossed, I'm not going to hold my breath, but fingers crossed that this happens and it continues. You and I and our friends have been like optimistically, chomping at the bit to get a big growth spurt in rally, and like there's only so much one person can do, or a group, or like a clan of people can do to rally support. But I think the health and the future of the sport has never been more the opportunity's never been this good for a spurt. What do you see the same thing, or am I missing something?
I do, and I'm with you on that one. It's like when there's a new fad diet out, right? We would just go completely left field on this one. Keto, vegan, the
paleo.
Carnivore, paleo. I don't know. You pick it. There's 63 of them in the last 2 years that have come out, but everybody that gets into that kind of stuff, they want to shout it from the rooftops. They want to promote it as like, hey, I know we're talking about coffee, but dude, have you ever ridden a road book? It's like complete left field conversations. And so sometimes it feels like that because people aren't asking the questions. But what I do see is that I do see a younger generation, and it's, it's people like Preston. It's, Edgar Kotak here out of San Diego with aspirations to go to the Dakar Rally. There are younger people in there. Look at the guys that have come with off-piste adventures, and then they're bringing in, and they're a younger crowd. And Matt Ransom, we were at the Sonora Rally School, said it. He goes, it's pretty interesting. I see a lot of gray hairs around here, and it was kind of like a shot, shots fired, but it touched on, it was a very direct hit on that there's this delicate balance that's happening. More coverage from NBC, younger people that are doing it, but not in the droves that as enthusiasts we would want to see. So then the gear kind of changes. It's like, okay, cool. Well, what do we do to help foster those and create, additional riders, create people there? Because hands down, full stop. I just sounded like a governor by saying full stop. It's like there comes a point where we obviously we want younger generations in here, and I think that this is the safest form in the future of off-road. Even, I mean, just look at California at this point. I doubt there's going to be off-road races held in the next 10 years. It'll be locked out, and OHV will be all electric. If it's got a gas motor, you can't. All you can do is put it in a museum. And so there's a lot going. I think that we could go for 3 hours on that topic. And it's,
let me bring you back. Let me bring you back. So what can be done? What else can be done? Well, shining light on the younger guys. So Ryan Nariño and his dad, also Antonio Nariño, it's an important piece of this equation, and important. And so Antonio Nariño, for those that don't know, is a Colombian-born San Diegan guy, worked in the agricultural industrial field in San Diego. He went to do Malimoto in, I think, 2014 or 15 at the Dakar, and dropped out late in the stage, I think late in the rally after the rest thing. Nice article was written about him, but he's been a longtime torchbearer for what he can. But his son Ryan Nariño came of age. He's a big, tall, guy that's, kind of a, full, like he's a gringo, but he's got his dad that's full-blown Colombian, and those two are like a team. They're out there in Saudi Arabia right now, and they're full on, rally, like torchbearers, and so shining light on guys like, first it was Mason Klein. He was the rising star, this kid from out of nowhere, the nerdy, road book geek with four eyes, with glasses, and, rising up, stepping on toes and not taking names, or, taking names, not really caring, and just, in a quick ascension, but also, not too quick where he's not sustainable. He has some sustainability, but his brother, Carter Klein, is the next guy to get tapped. Why are you wasting time? In my opinion, there's a reason that KTM and factory Kawasaki and factory KTM and factory Honda don't run and race in Baja 1000. That's not just some coincidence. It's a safety issue. And it's also a numbers issue for the marketing and the justification, issue about that. So Carter Klein, with his speed and his ability, it's like, what is he waiting for? And could be maybe like the Campbell household, they know something we don't know, and that basically they're planning to have his breakout where he launches. But shining light, helping the younger crowd, and really laying a pathway for them to. They're the ones that are going to recruit. And they're the ones that are influencing. They understand technology. They understand how to make, computers and platforms work, and how to leverage technology to, for the better. Guys like you and I, as much as we want to stay up to speed with stuff, we kind of need to almost spectate. But if we can't be directly involved in pulling people into the sport, least we should do is get out of the way, or make space and enable, guys like, Ryan Nariño, Preston Campbell, the Kleins, like you mentioned, the guy, Edgar something from San Diego.
Edgar Cota, yeah.
Yeah, there's Edgar Cota, yeah. And so, big time in Baja, and he needs to. And then you have this guy, Merlin Cormier, he's older guy, but he's like, and so we're on the dawn of a new era, I think, and this edition of and I'm supposed to cheerlead for this stuff, Victor, but that's my job, really, promoting rally is, I'm supposed to be promoting, our rally and the one that we do, the one that my team does, and the whole sport. I'm supposed to do that, but after 13 years of doing that, sometimes it's just going through the motion. Right now, I really am feeling in my bones that there's a good thing that I don't need to feel stress on. It's like, if it doesn't happen, we'll be okay. keep up your great work, Victor. I think that the show's doing great. Here we are at rest day. Should probably get more back into the Dakar and get away from the aerial view and more into the nuts and the bolts, and then the strategy part of it.
Oh yeah. No, and I agree. And the way I look at it now is like like I said, is my goal is with the rallies coming up, with Baja Rally coming up, is my goal in the future in this is that help fill the trough, with the whole thing, right? It's like you can lead a horse to water, but that's it. You can't make them drink. So if I figure, okay, well, if the trough is attractive enough, the horses will come. I guess we could leave it at that, but
build it and they will come.
Build it and they will come. And so there's a lot to unpack on that. And something that I did want to, because it's been a topic and we've seen rally kind of evolve. The Dakar Rally's been pushing to make things easier, do different things to make it safer and do that kind of stuff. And this year, one of the ones that blew my mind was, hot pits for the vehicles on stages 1 and 2. And then now they're going to come up on another one in stage 11. They're going to be doing pit stops for the vehicles. We saw the tire, the tire issues through the stage, stage 3, 4, the marathon stage, coming home on stage 5, just roach tires everywhere on the bikes. So the strategy, the changes that they've made, everything that they're doing. I mean, what are your thoughts? I know you guys try and keep the rally as pure, but yeah, is this the right direction? Is it, what do you think on this whole tire and pit stop thing?
It's super cool. And I think that just trying stuff and that hats off to the ASO and to the promoters and to David, what's his name? David Costera.
Costera. Yeah, David Costera.
Yeah, just for mixing it up. They tried the chrono stage. They're doing something new next year. I think they're going to open into some variation. The chrono stage, they dropped it. They did it for 1 year and then they dropped it. It's not, and so they kind of tinker around, and it's something that at Baja Rally we're doing that as well. This year we have a couple of new dynamic changes. Like we're giving a full-blown rally bike away to the amateurs. We also have prize money for the first time ever, really. I mean, we had, we did 15,000 in our first rally in 2013. First prize was 15,000, but that was pesos. So it was $1,000, but so we're tinkering around with some things, and that the Dakar Rally dabbles and tinkers with new ideas. It helps to break their stigma of being an evil non-government organization, the FIA, and being like this, like authoritarian, the empire. It's like the Death Star, kind of like this giant governing body. There is a stigma about FIA and FIM, the governing body. It's basically the motorsports government. So basically, if you look up the definition, it's basically in the definition of FIA and FIM. It is basically the motorsports government globally. It's basically, and nobody can assail that. They're like the big global government of motorsports, so that they're mixing, that the ASO working. It's not the FIM and the FIA that's like coming up with these ideas. I think it's the ASO, the other half of Dakar, that's the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey aspect of it. The traveling circus part of the Dakar Rally is not FIM, FIA, but it's ASO, Armory Sports Organization. They're the ones that want to sell the entertainment. They're the ones selling the show and the programming and the broadcasting and that part of it. So that they are being creative and mixing it up with live pits is like borrowing from Formula One maybe. And like, you look at something like what happened. I don't want to get on a tangent, but when Drive to Survive came out, I started watching that 2018 was the first year, 2018-19. And I've got a subscription for F1 TV right off the bat. And now people are like, yeah, they're following Max Verstappen and like the McLaren team. And, it's a thing now in the U.S. And eventually, too, Victor, I think MotoGP, so the company that owns and runs Formula One, Liberty Media, the Liberty Group, they just bought MotoGP. So MotoGP now in America is going to be the next Formula One. MotoGP is going to rise up. It's my prediction. I'm really sure that MotoGP is going to rise up into prevalence in North America and the U.S. with programming and like U.S. audience. Remember when NFL got hot? It was around 2008, 9, 10. Housewives and everyone was into like the teams and into NFL. NFL went through this huge like popularity sport where it's like just hugely popular. I don't know if you recall. Same thing has happened with Formula One in the last couple of years, thanks to Netflix, really mostly in part thanks to Netflix. Now with the movie, with the Brad Pitt movie, it's like Harry Potter for race enthusiasts. It's very fictional in the movie, but it's these types of things. This is happening with the Dakar, I think. And like you said, mixing it up, trying new things. That's not just for the participants. I think it's also for the audience.
Yeah, to get to see a little bit of the drama because, yeah, of course they had cameras in the pits and there was drama about, dead batteries on impacts and just all this like chaos. And, I mean, we're human,
What are you talking about in the highlights? You mean, are you talking about in the hot pits this year?
Yeah. They've already had that on the vehicles, tire changes and stuff like that. And so, yeah, you're adding a little bit of drama to it and you're, thinking about what you're saying. Yeah, you've got, the coverage, you've got video, you've got hot pits, you've added some, you're breaking up the epic desert shot with the vehicles riding across, the wadi or coming and cresting over a big dune or something like, dude, have you seen that 900 times? We know what that looks like already. Oh, look, they're doing what? They're doing pit stops at Dakar? And you've got guys with, shredded tires everywhere and they're showing the difficulty of it, Edgar Canet riding on spokes, to get back to a bivouac. It's that dramatization of it, is and showing those things. I think, yeah, you're right. It's showing a pulse in that this is headed in a direction where it could become more mainstream, especially with the participants and the people that are coming, into the sport now, the younger guns coming in, the strategy being shown, the bikes, the manufacturers thinning the herd. I mean, I hate to say it, but they got rid of, like you said, they got rid of the quads, okay, cool. They got rid of the quads. I haven't seen in the highlights and stuff like that. I haven't really been paying attention to, but I'm not seeing as much of the big semi trucks, the big, the Kamazes and all the Mechos and all that.
The garbage trucks.
The garbage trucks. Yeah. And so
that's too bad. You got to wonder. But
now, I think it was 2 years ago now, the 24 Dakar, that they let the cars out in front and then the Dakar themselves made a video of all these car guys lost because they didn't know where to go because they didn't have bike tracks to follow. Now this year, you've got, on the marathon stage, both days, they had their own stage to deal with, no bikes in front. And then they warned them, hey, you're going to catch tracks from stage 3. There's all sorts of stuff out there. So again, I think they're adding to that flavor, adding some variance to it, where before, I mean, a few years back, 5 years ago, it was always the same thing. Bikes go, cars go, bikes go, cars go,
Yeah, they're mixing it up a lot, Victor. And we can speculate, but here's a question is why is the coverage so robust? And so, and it's a loaded question because you're going to ask yourself, is someone at NBC Sports, it's basically a multinational, I mean, it's a U.S. company, but they have reach, NBC's got reach globally, in some of their programming. But is it ASO kind of subsidizing or like facilitating this? And the answer is, I bet you that they are. It's not just out of total generosity, and it's not like NBC Motorsports guys decided to make some investment. You know how like Paramount Plus and Netflix, they invest in content, like their Disney Channel and HBO, and like they invest in making productions and series and things like that, like Apple, TV, Amazon Prime, these are production companies now. And it's not as though someone at NBC Motorsports said, let's go invest a ton of money and time to buy the content and to buy this and to produce this to bring it into the U.S. households. I think that ASO and the main promoter of Dakar Rally is enabling that, is making that easier than they did before. The reason that NBC coverage sucked, it was even existed at all, was a day you'd have to wait. Like, we're getting it same day, same night. The hours and the times in Saudi Arabia, it works out so that, they can bring you the coverage faster than they were doing it when it was in South America. And so I think that the ASO also, like the Johnny Campbell guys, they're thinking of steps ahead. They're thinking like 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 years ahead and a couple of chess moves ahead. And it's very optimistic. I don't want to just go in circles with this, but maybe back to the race. So, who do we think is going to win, and what happens with Sharena, and what happens? We can also talk about that stage 3 crash where the 3 guys all crash in the same spot. There was a lot of talk about it, and like, what, was it marked? And when we got, curiosity on comments on YouTube, curiosity in WhatsApp groups on this channel, we start to get some input and answers, people contributing to the conversation. And so Tasha, it's Sharena, the Spaniard, the tall Spaniard guy, and then him. And by the way, so it's Canet and Sharena, both from Spain. And if you're a gringo American and you don't know, if you haven't been to Spain, like, there's a couple things they take really super seriously. 3 things, really. You put this in order. Food, motorcycles, and wine is a big deal in Spain. And when I say big deal, it's like our, hot dogs and, hamburgers and baseball. It's a big deal. So those Spaniards, too, and that they can speak English for the most part, and that they're younger guys, they're global. It's like the globalist approach. I think it bodes really well for the rally. And so Sharena was up, and so when he started out a little bit light in this rally, where he was kind of holding back and maybe let the rally come to him, as I heard it said. But then he had, I think his crash might have slowed him down, and he did have a penalty coming out of the marathon stage as well. So that would have been stage 5, the leg 2 of the marathon. He was penalized, what was it, 4 minutes, 6 minutes? For 10 minutes.
It was a 10-minute penalty for not leaving the bivouac correctly.
Yeah, through like this flag, but I'm not super clear on it. Then you had a penalty on Skylar Howes, which, by the way, he also too is part of this movement behind Ricky. He was after Ricky Brabeck. And if you don't know Skylar Howes' story, there's no documentary on him yet. If he could freaking win this Dakar, which is basically out of the question now, I mean, you'd have to have like a pandemic level, like infectious disease thing stricken the top 4 or 5 guys, in this rally to have that happen this time. But Skylar's got a couple more years left in him. But his story is, he was on his 3rd rally when he sold his whole, not everyone knows the story. You know it. You're familiar with it. You covered it. But this Skylar Howes guy with the mustache and the cowboy hat, if you're new to this game, he sold all his stuff and basically went to zero and put all his chips in on his number and went to the rally, and he came home with a podium, if I'm not mistaken, as kind of a privateer. He podiumed? With Husky, he put a 3rd place showing. And, aside, and everybody that you talk to about the Dakar, this is just finishing the thing is the feat. But
But yeah, exactly what you're saying is, like they say, that saying goes, it's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to cash it in and put it all on black in Vegas. He put it all on Dakar. He literally put it on, like you said, he put it on his number, sold everything, bootstrapped it, made it happen, and then made it to Dakar. And it wasn't that one. It was the following year that Husky said, if this guy's willing to do that, this is the kind of guy we want on the team. And then that was that next year he got that call after doing it to get, shoulder tap to get onto the Husky team. And that's huge. That's a story. And you're right. I'm surprised that there hasn't been a full level, more like his stories out there. I could link the episode where we talk about, when he was getting ready to go to the Dakar doing that and cover that story. But yeah, there's way more to it. And, 30, as it sits right now, 32 minutes back, sitting in stage 6, sevens coming up, 32 minutes, it could take a bad note up at the front. It's not unheard of, but in recent history, that is a ways away, because
there would be fighting, bro. There would be fighting in the streets, in Madrid and Austria, if something like that did happen, if there was like a major shakeup like that. So I was wrong. I just fact checked myself. It was in 2021 that he sold all his stuff and he got a 5th. And so then he got factory, but 5th place, finishing, his first, big, I think it was his second one. But so Skyler's got it in him. It's a tough one, man. It's so competitive at the top level. And so let's talk about Cove. So Cove is a Chinese bike. And then Hoto is this, this other brand, that's essentially, from what we're hearing, is basically a KTM bike that's got branding on it. And it's, possibly a launch pad for some manufacturer, some original, bike brand in the future. It's kind of like a test market, I think. And that team with Mason Klein, listening to the pre-rally interviews, it's like they're out there kind of like Cove's first mission 3 years ago, where they're showing up late. They kind of like don't really have a game plan. And all 3 of those Cove bikes, it was 23, all finished, and the Sunior guy. So Cove just kind of like, I'm ready to buy one of these bikes, if for my next purchase is, they're showing up in Dakar Rally, in Baja Rally. In our last Baja Rally, like 25%, 20% of the bikes were Coves. I mean, there was more than 12 of them. And I mean, it's a pretty big showing. And it seems like the bikes work. And so their guy, the French guy, what's his name? Niels?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like
on the EX.
Yeah, I wouldn't really know that he had that in him, but he's got speed and he's got it's like he's showing that this year. I don't know if that was on my radar last year, but he is the Niels Thurek or something, the French guy. His dad was a manager on I believe, of the Cove team, but he's had his prologue this one. He was pushing his bike for like 5 kilometers or something crazy, where but he is he's also in Rally 2, correct?
Yeah, he is no, I think, didn't they boot him up to GP? No, he is Rally 2. He is Rally 2. Yes.
Okay. And so now that's the guy that's chasing Preston Campbell. But man, I'll tell you, if you're out there and if you're another guy in that category and you're thinking that you're going to play a fast one and do mind games with Preston Campbell ever, like, it's like, he's his own guy, but when you're talking about Preston Campbell, you're really talking about Johnny Jr. And you can't pull anything over those guys. And like, whatever strategy you think you're going to pull on those guys, like they're tricking you into doing that. See, like, so if you think you're going to pull a fast one, that's what they want you to do. Like, these are guys are, Mr. T level, like with the Eddie Murphy thing, they're like, they're 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. It's mind games. I don't want to go. I'm going to probably get off of that now and start to ponder that. And there's no jinxing it, Victor. there's no pressure on you and me. I mean, we're in the cheap seats, if you ask me.
I internalize it a little bit. I go, man, I don't want to be the one that says it, but everybody, I think a lot of people at this point with that, again, what we were just talking about, like the Dakar Rally, Rally 2 hasn't been that class for a minute, but definitely in Rally GP and the pro level, it has been for the last couple of years. You're coming into the last stage and you still don't know who's got this thing in the bag, and the people feel strongly about somebody having it in the bag. But if you look at the clock, if you look at black and red, just the numbers, it's not clear cut. It's an easy combination of a 1 minute penalty, 30 seconds between them. What was it, the year that Mo Hart ran and the entire American Rally Originals team went, literally inverted the start on the last
23.
stage, muddy run. And it was seconds. I think it was 5 seconds at the start of the stage between the two riders at the end of the rally. And the last stage is almost a parade. It's not long at all. And that, I think that's where we're headed in Rally GP. But in the Rally 2 class, it's a different story. Mistakes can happen a little bit more, but man, that cushion's looking pretty good right now.
So Preston with 16-minute advantage at the halfway point, and the tact and the skill and the strategy and the consistency, the machinery, the bike, the diet, the mentoring, I really, it's going to be difficult to see him giving that up. And there's nobody that you could ever imagine that's going to have what it takes to succeed in a rally career than Campbell. And for at least on this hemisphere, it's going to be, I'm looking forward to seeing that happen. And so on the overalls, so top 10 for Preston, totally in the stars. Giving that up, I don't see that happening. Where's Bradley Cox for his? Where does he stand on the overall standings?
Let's see. Bradley currently, I think he was he is currently sits 8th. He's an hour 25 back in the overall.
So yeah, top 10 for him. That's good. And then he is factory. So he got a money deal, and it by the way, I'm sure it's a good one.
Because
when
Cox,
you look at
ATM is like, I thought their blood was orange.
Yeah, well, just look at what the alternatives are. Ross Branch, with this, I'm afraid that it's probably, sun is setting for Ross. Maybe also too for Van Beveren. I hate to be that guy. It's just years after years, they spend all year getting ready for it, and the opportunity cost of what they could be doing with their lives. Sunderland won 2 of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Toby Price, how many does Toby have? 2 on the bike. Benavidez, it could happen for Benavidez this year.
10 minutes.
It's going to take someone going out and a big nav error, but both, strictly without a crash, I can't see Luciano Benavidez making up the 10 minutes on the 2 guys in front of him. I think that would take a crash from one of the 2 guys in front. But that's kind of it. Skyler just settles in, gets his finish, and then next year has to be his year. Going to 28 for Skyler and winning. Each year that goes by, and then with younger guys coming up, so you get Canet and Sharena and Preston coming up, and maybe even Mason Klein gets a good deal and gets them real seated in on a solid program. Yet to be seen, but and then what happens is Van Beverens and the branches of the world, they're out. they're not in contention. I mean, just the odds, 365 days go by, you're just that much older, you're just that much further away, and you're giving up your life for 50 weeks a year, to prep for the next one. So I hate to be like that, but so the future belongs to Bradley Cox, to Sharena, Canet, to Preston Campbell. I mean, those are the guys that you're going to see, carrying the torch and running the thing. Brabeck, Howes, Branch, Van Beveren, these guys got two, I think, I hate to say it, but, Branch, without the young guys, sure, they can win, but against the younger guys, no deal. Yeah. Sorry to be, I mean, I'm putting my money out on the line. I probably shouldn't do that too much, but thank you, Victor, for, giving me a minute to, what are we missing? Talk about the tires a little bit.
Yeah, we talked about the tires. We kind of got an idea, we've got strong teams up at the front, and they're going to continue to be, it's going to be a red or orange podium. I think I'm leaning red. I'm seeing that mistake, that 6-minute penalty didn't really sit with me.
What, the one on Skyler or the one?
No, the one for Sanders. I think now that we talk about it, I feel like it may be a sign of things to come. It could have gone both ways. He's either kicking himself for, like, how did I get a 6-minute penalty on this thing? And then, or on the other side of it, he's dwelling, or he's seen it and he's said, it is what it is. This is my reminder. I'm holding on to the lead for now.
The penalty came today. So Saunders incurred his stage 6 penalty today. When you take that away, he smoked the other guys. So he would have smoked them, and literally smoked them, because that would have put him up 4 minutes on Brabeck and Sharena. It would have. So when you take the penalty away, so that's why I disagree with you a little bit about the red wave, or like that's, I'm sure we're not going to rub too many people the wrong way, but with the red wave talk, but I think that's what Saunders has it in him to take. I think to take more risk and to also run faster and a little bit more unregulated. He's a freaking Australian, mate, right? They just fucking don't care.
He does. He hangs that. He's got that Toby Price blood.
They all do. They all do, man. It's something they put in the water down there in the Foster's beer, mate.
They're built differently. Hey, here's the fact, and this could be a ChatGPT screw up, but the eldest motorcycle winner is Stefan Petterhansel in 1998 at the age of 32. That is the oldest motorcycle winner, according to this.
Yeah, and number 2, second one would be Mark Coma, my guess.
But wait a minute. But how does that? I thought. Hold on. I think we've already proved it. How old is Ross Branch?
He is freaking old, man. He's like a dinosaur.
He just won a couple of years ago.
30s. He's in the 30s. He won the Dakar?
Oh. Yeah. Didn't he win? He won the Dakar. No?
We need Kyle McCoy on here. He'd have it off on the top of his head.
Dude, yeah.
A lot of listeners, a lot of you guys out there, give Victor and me a little break. Give us a break. We have our basically 9 to 5ers. We can't stay on this ever on the whole time.
Hold on. We're looking this up really quick, and then we're closing this thing out. What year did Ross Branch win the Dakar? Won the Dakar in 2024. So instantly proven.
Come on,
ladies
and
gentlemen,
you got to fact check that. Is that?
He did. I know he won.
Really.
No, I know he won. He carried that number 1 plate. He carried the number 1 plate, and he did it in 2024. And if he was born in 87, is 38 years old. So that means he did it 2 years ago. He would have been 36. So 1 year older than Stefan Petterhansel.
So what they're talking about is not the Dakar, but it's the World Rally Raid Championship, the W2RC.
No, I said, what year did Ross Branch win the Dakar?
But you got to be really careful, and you got to double fact check.
I don't know, dude. That's a picture of him on the podium. I know he won. He had it. And then he unfortunately didn't back it up the next year. I think he crashed out.
No, dude. And we need someone. We need to be live.
In the comments below.
Yeah, it's not a live thing. So I'm showing 0 wins on the Dakar, and your thing is mistake. So if we're wrong, we're buying burritos and 6-packs. But I'm egg on the face. Thanks everyone for giving us a break on this one. This isn't our full-time gig.
It's Friday night. It's 9 o'clock. We both had days.
Hey, listeners, you can do it too. You can start your own podcast.
You can. Happy to help. This would be the 3rd podcast I helped start.
And when you get to 300 episodes, give Victor a call, and he'll come on and be co-produced for you. Hey, it's been really nice sitting with you, Victor. I'll be listening in, and I'm really enthusiastic about everything, including Sonora Rally, the NORA Rally, the regional rally, SoCal Rally. If you're in North America, you don't know there's 3 mainstream rallies. Baja Rally, NORA Rally, the Sonora Rally, that are like legitimate competitions, and then you have underground rallies, the SoCal Rally, the Yellowstone Super Secret Rally is out there, and other stuff that is a little bit off the radar. But you're going to owe me on that Ross Branch having won the Dakar. It's still yet to happen. Yeah,
burritos. It is burritos and Catavina.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to hearing more of this stuff, Victor. Thanks for everything that you do, and keep up your effort, and you just get better with time.
Yeah, and then when am I'm going to see you guys soon, right? Baja Rally School's coming up in May.
Yeah, we're training. So we have a training in May. It's May 8th through 10th, and we're going to open up, the enrollment for 15 to 20 students. We've been running our school since 2017, and now I remember we did it every year since 2017, and I remember that you were in the first rally school, but still have yet to get certified in the field, road book stages and final examination. So did all the classroom stuff, and you've been to running rallies and running, admin and scoring for Sonora and Baja Rally, and I think another 1 or 2 coast to coast, that you're, hopefully that this is the one you're doing, May 8th through 10th, and you find all the information on BajaRallySchool.com or BajaRallyMoto.com. Thank you again, Victor. It's been nice spending, a good hour and a half with you.
Yeah, same here, Scotty. And I'll put the link in the description for those of you listening in. The link will be in the description for the Baja Rally website. And if you guys have any questions, I know they'll be keeping an eye on the comments as well. So throw your questions up there, and then we'll have one of the guys from the Baja Rally team reply back, or I'll answer them myself, and we'll and we're gonna have some fun.
All right.
Let's do it. All right, Scotty, thank you very much. Have a good evening, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, thanks.